Om Sam Saraswati Namaha Namaste. This evening on page 73 of the Kashyapa Sutras, which is included in the book Shrima, The Guru and the Goddess, we're going to begin the discussion of Sutra number 12. And the sutra says, Ajapantam Nirgunatattvanirupanam. This is full of lots of levels of meanings. We can't even conceive. Let's begin the discussion. Nirupanam means to investigate, examine, reflect upon, to perceive, to search, to determine, to define, select, or choose. So it means you're koshish kurte, anushandan. Yeah, nirupanam. And it's a way of reflecting, investigating, searching for, looking deeply within the inner meanings, investigating the inner essence of whatever we're going to search for. Nirgunatattva is the principle beyond all qualities and all attributes. So we've got the investigation into the principle beyond all qualities and attributes. Nirgunatattvanirupanam is the investigation, the search, the inner essence, discovering the inner essence of Nirgunatattva, the principle beyond all the gunas, beyond all attributes. Antam means beyond, or at the apex, or at the end of Ant. And Ajapa is a name of Shiva. Ajapa is the name of the supreme divinity. Ajapa means unborn, a leader existing from all eternity, as well as Ajapa, meaning continuous recitation without count or recitation. So Ajapa japa means the japa that is going on of its own accord. Now, this is very fun. You've got the Ajapa, the antam, the ultimate, the apex of Ajapa, is the discovery, the search, the inner examination or investigation of the principle that is beyond all qualities and characteristics. Ajapantam Nirgunatattvanirupanam. So at the apex, at the ant of Ajapa, is the investigation into the principle which is beyond all qualities. And pantam also means to drink, like pibami. Pant means to drink, so to draw within or absorb, so by doing the ajapa, jap, the jap without count, the jap that continues along with its own, on its own, without our controlling it, without our looking at it. It's just there, the mantra's playing in the background of everything we do, is like drinking or absorbing the principle of which is beyond all qualities, characteristics. This verse has so many levels of meaning. Every syllable has a number of meanings, and the interpretation of the grammatical construction depends on the individual's progress in spiritual discipline. That is, we've discussed the 7 levels of meaning of Sanskrit, and you know there's a Vachart, and there's a Gurart, and a Gujart, and a Sampradayart, and a Guruart, and there's the dictionary meaning, and there's the meaning according to the Darshan Shastra, to the philosophy, and the tribe, and your Sampradaya, and all of the various levels of meaning until you get to the Gyanart, the Hringyanatmane Namaha. The meaning according to the intrinsic nature of what is being said, according to you, the understanding, the swadharma, the swabhava, the intrinsic nature of the understanding of an individual. So, as you progress in your sadhana, then the grammatical construction changes. It evolves, and your understanding and application of this grammatical construction changes as your mind grows bigger and bigger. and your heart goes open and open, more open, and your consciousness goes higher and higher and higher. Then you get a different meaning every time you read the sentence. Nirupanam means to investigate, examine, or search for. It is also it means to perceive and be aware of. The search for Nirguna Tattva. So the awareness, the principle which is beyond qualities, or that which has the quality of water. Nir also means water, and nir means without gunas, without qualities, and nir means water. So the guna means quality, nirguna means that which has the quality of water, or that which is without qualities. Now remember, the quality of water is always in perfect equilibrium and perfect balance. No matter which direction you tip the container, the contents remains totally flat, level. That's why we make a level by putting a bubble in some liquid, and then you apply that to the surface, and you can see when the bubble is perfectly centered, then you're in perfect level and balance. In the same way, water always assumes the shape of its container. Water is always, whatever form is the container, that's the form the water assumes. It's totally pliable. You could put it into a chandana and it'll take the form of chandana. You could put it into an ekatma and it would take the form of ekatma. You could fill up your container in a round container, in a square container, in an oblong container, in a big fat container. It'll always take the form of the container. So whatever shape is your container, that's the shape of the water. So water is, nirguna is without qualities, or it's every quality, the shape of every container which it assumes. All the qualities which assume any container. Here's a container, there's a container, here's a container, there's a container. Look at the quality of water. It always seeks its own level. It is always in perfect balance. It always assumes the shape of its container. Water is extremely adaptable in balance and harmony. Varunadev, the Lord of water, is the Lord of equilibrium. He's always in balance. Always in balance. Always in balance. He has his ups and downs. You can splash him around a little bit, but he comes back to a place of balance. Centered. Always in balance. But he's never out of balance. He has ups and downs, but he's never out of balance. The search is for the principle or the tattva, which is of the quality of perfect equilibrium and balance, or beyond all qualities. Ajapantam, or aja means unborn, has no birth. And pantam means to become absorbed in the unborn. Ajapantam means searching for the principle beyond qualities. One becomes absorbed in the eternal, unborn, unmanifest, and this is one way to understand the meaning of the verse. And Ma says that water always has the quality of going forward and never going backwards. Did you ever see you turn on the tap and watch the water go back up? No, it always falls down. The water is always moving towards the sea, and it won't stop until it gets there. When it merges with the sea, it loses its own individual identity. It has a goal, it has a path, it has a course, it has banks, and it's making its journey, just like every other river. And the verse from the Tantra Philosophy says, the soul within thee is a river. Its sacred bathing place is contemplation. Its banks are holiness. Its waters are truth. Its waves are love. Go to that river for your bath. Your soul will not be made pure by bathing in water alone. Go ahead and jump in the Ganga and the Jamuna and the Godavari and the Kaveri and any river you choose. Your soul will not be made pure until you go take a bath in the river of your heart, the river within. So just water alone, you pour it on your head, and you pour it on your body, and you put some soap on yourself and clean the pores of your skin, but it doesn't clean your soul. Not until you take a bath in the river within. The search for the principle beyond qualities yields the fruit of absorption in the eternal. Same verse. Jap is the conscious and constant repetition of a mantra. We perform jap until the mantra becomes such a part of our lives that the mantra continues automatically by itself. It continues without our practical awareness, without our forcing the jap to be a part of us. When the mantra continues like a tape recorder in the background, in our days there were tape recorders, you may remember something from ancient history. It was like a tape that was just going on in the background. And it was a natural part of our lives. The jap becomes ajapa. Ajapa japa. That means the purpose of the japa is to cultivate the habit of listening to the mantra until we become absorbed in the mantra like Shrima. The mantra just keeps going by itself. We don't have to move the beads and say, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. Boy, is that a heavy bead, Om Namah Shivaya. No, the Om Namah Shivaya just flows through the background. It plays like, what do you call it, an MP3 download is going in your head all the time. And Swami says to Ma, you are always in the mantra, you never listen to what I have to say. And I don't blame you, but for you the mantra is continuing always. So the mantra just keeps going without her effort. Consciously, we are making an effort to remain aware of japa. By counting how many times we say the mantra, by moving our beads to keep the count, by making a religious practice of cultivating the habit of listening to the mantra. Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. After some time, the mantra will remain with us. It's called Ajapa Japa. When the mantra is making japa of us instead of our making japa of the mantra. As when you listen to a tape of a mantra and the mantra is just there, even though we may be aware of other things. It's like the stage upon which the drama of life takes place. The mantra is there like a stage or screen of consciousness upon which all this material world is reflected. The mantra is the sound upon which all of the other sounds are heard. This is an example of Ajapa Japa, the stage of consciousness embodied as sound. Ant means the ultimate, like Vedanta. Ant, the end, the perfection. Ajapantam means the ultimate or the end of, the perfection of all japa. Mother says we should make japa anta, which means without count. The recitation of the mantra without recitation, the eternal, infinite ajap, which is the sound of God. Nirupanam means the perception of the tattva, the principle beyond all qualities. Of the quality of water in perfect equilibrium. That is the ultimate absorption in mantra. When one is without even the consciousness of I am performing japa. Rather, japa is performing itself. Ajap is the reality. My individual perceptions and conceptions are placed in the reality, over the reality, which is Ajapa, and it is continuing of its own accord. All my thoughts and aspirations are merely projected upon this Ajapa, this mantra which is being recited by the divine. The ultimate perfection of Ajapa is the perception of the principle beyond qualities. The ultimate perception of that which is beyond qualities is the perception of the sound of God without any individual qualification of that sound. We call it Shabda Brahma, the sound of God. The sound that God hears when God makes japa. We call the sound of God Shabda Brahman, which is the sound of Om, the infinite beyond conception. That is the sound spoken by divinity, heard by divinity. From Shabda Brahman comes the seed of existence. It comes forth Bindu. And Bindu is Hiranyagarbha, the golden womb, the first seed of existence. And the first sound is manifested in existence is Bindu. The bij of Bindu is Hrim and the totality of Maya. So from Shabda Brahman we come to Bindu, which is the first point, the first spark, the first Bindu, the first sound. And Bindu manifests as Nad. Bindu manifests as Nad. From Bindu springs forth Nad. Nad is the subtle body of sound, which is the sound we hear inside, the subtle sound of God. From Nad comes Bij. And every object and relationship in existence, this entire samsara, the ocean of all, this emanates a vibration. Every object is comprised of atoms and molecules and protons and neutrons and quarks and all those subatomic particles which you can't even see by the naked eye, but you know them to be there. What do they call it? A Higgs boson. Even more subtle and more subtle still. And each one of those particles is in constant movement. And all the movement creates friction, and friction creates vibration, and all vibration produces sound, whether audible to the external ear or not. All sound is expressible by a letter. So kshara means that which is finite, which will not last. And aw means that which is infinite. So akshar means that the qualified has become infinite. And that is the Sanskrit name for letter, the unqualified infinite. The akshars come together to form bijas, which are the closest approximations to the natural vibrations which can be expressed, with what the vibrations are saying themselves as the sounds evolve from the movement inherent in all existence. Bijas are the natural names or the closest approximations of the natural names of the various sounds which can be heard, spoken, or written. The closest approximation to the names of objects and relationships in this creation are bijas. So the seed mantra, the bij mantra, the closest, every article of existence, every atom of existence has two names. A name which we've all agreed to call it in the various languages all around the world. And a name which it is calling itself. Inside every object is this movement and this friction and this vibration, and that vibration is vibrating at a specific frequency which is particular to that individual. And that specific frequency is emanating a sound, whether we can hear it or not. The rishis called that sound the bija, the seed, the intrinsic nature, the swabhav, the swarup, the intrinsic nature of what the article, what the object is calling itself. And this is pertaining to objects and relationships, to qualities and characteristics, whether they are tangible or not. So the entirety of existence is called Hrim. All that can be conceived and perceived and known through meditation and through intuition, etc. and beyond is all part of that Hrim. But wisdom is known by Aim. How did you ever see wisdom? Well, you saw a lot of ignorance, but did you ever see wisdom? It's not a thing in itself. It is a quality or an activity of things, which things or people or beings exhibit wisdom when they act in accordance with the knowledge that they have, and they apply the proper set of facts to bring about a greater harmony for all in their environment, for all within their sphere of influence. Then we see the application of wisdom, but we don't see the wisdom itself. But it still has a Bij mantra, because the rishis intuitively cognized, they intuitively recognized that this is the vibration of the wisdom which is creating a harmony. So these bijas are put together to make Shabda, and Shabda is audible sound. And Shabda has two forms: the Vedic, which are words of wisdom, words of communion, words which inspire us, and Bhautika, words which take us into the world of objects and relationships. The path of sound is extremely subtle. When we enter into Shabda, the first step of sadhana is to control the amount of Bhautika Sabda, which comes into our processing center, as well as how much worldly speech comes out. How much do I need from the world, and how much do I need to give to the world? We only have that understanding when we have criteria by which we have a plan, and we have a goal, and then we have a measurement, and then we know what fits into the plan and what does not fit into the plan. If you don't have a plan, you can't discriminate. How much do I need to do what? There's no end to how much I could use. Maybe. But how much do I need? Only I can determine that when I know for what purpose. And I can't know for what purpose until I have a plan and a goal and a definition and a path, etc., etc., etc. So now, we want to control the amount of our worldly speech. We can direct our awareness towards the words of wisdom. When we know how much we need, we can spend the amount of resources and energy and time and focus and attention to achieve those things that we need from the world, and then we can take the rest of our time and energy and resources and focus and apply it to the words of wisdom. Then we have a budget. Here I have some time for worldly necessities, and here I have time for spiritual discipline, and here I have time for personal needs, and here I have time for community associations, and here I don't have time to waste time gossiping in the kitchen. If any of you have looked at our website tonight, there was a beautiful post by Socrates about the nature of gossip. I adjure you all, please take a look and see Socrates' words of wisdom. So, by controlling our worldly speech, we can direct our awareness towards words of wisdom. By following the words of wisdom, we can come to an understanding of Bij, the natural names for the natural vibrations expressed through the letters, or the aksharas, those little matrikas, the little mothers. And through the bijas we can enter into the nad, which is the subtle body of sound. And from the nad we move into the bindu, which is one-pointed awareness. And from the bindu we move into Shabda Brahman, which is the sound of God. And this is the Ajapantam. Ajapantam Nirgunatattvanirupanam. The principle beyond the qualities, the perception of the principle beyond the qualities. Through the control of sound, we move into absorption in the ultimate. This is Ajapantam Nirgunatattvanirupanam. Nad is the sound that you hear inside. The Swami chants Om. And then ask, did you hear that with your ear? Close your ears and hear the same sound. Did you hear it? Can you hear that inside? Did you hear that? Did you hear it? That is the nod, the subtle sound that you're hearing inside. You heard it outside. The gross body of sound is called Shabda, and that which is heard from the ear. The subtle body of sound is called nod, that which is heard inside. Did you hear someone say something to you in a dream? Did your mind ever hear a voice talking to you? That is nod, the subtle body of sound. Some subtle forms are the forms of the gross Bhautika Shabda, the worldly words that have already come in. Some nod are the forms of bijas, the natural names which have come from within. By controlling the amount of worldly sounds which come in, we can direct our awareness to the bijas. Qualities have bijas. Aim is Jnana Bija, the vibration of wisdom, Saraswati's bija. She inspires us with knowledge. It is the Guru Bija. Reem is the bija of Maya, the totality of existence. All that can be perceived through the senses, conceived in the mind, and known through intuition. Kleem is the dissolution of the gross body into the causal body, that which makes a resolution, a surrendering and transformation towards perfection. These are the bijas of Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, and Mahasaraswati. Aim, ring, claim are bijas which indicate the transformation of all that is on every level. They can be known through nod, because through nod one can follow them into the bindu, and when in the bindu is entered, you can become one with the Shabda Brahman. In the study of Vedic Sanskrit, we move from words of wisdom to an intuitive understanding of the bijas, which are the natural names of the vibrations we want to cultivate within ourselves and within this world. And this is the path of Nad Yoga. There are many different ways of approaching divinity. We have already studied the Panchakosh, the 5 sheaths or coverings or layers, the Annamaya Kosh and the Pranamaya Kosh and the Manamaya Kosh, the Vijnanamaya Kosh and the Anandamaya Kosh. And this is the same journey which we just took through the use of sound, by taking the worldly sounds and dissolving them into the sounds of wisdom, and following the sounds of wisdom to their highest meanings as bijas. We take the natural names of all existence and put them into the subtle body of sound, the nad, and then move into the one-pointed light, the one point of sound, the bindu. Ultimately, we become absorbed in Shabda Brahman, the Anandamaya Kosh. Anandamaya Kosh is Shabda Brahman, which is only divine silence can be perceived. In Anandamaya Kosh, Purush and Prakriti are one. They are not divisible. From Shabda Brahman comes the Bindu. Bindu is the first step of Prakriti away from Purush. That step is called the Vijnanamaya Kosh, the light of wisdom, the first spark of creation. In Tantra Philosophy, there are 36 principles. They begin with Sadashiv and Shakti. And these two principles, two separate principles, but they are united as one. Sadashiv is pure consciousness. Shakti is pure energy. Ishwar is the principle of union between Siva and Shakti. Ardhanarishwar, both male or female. Then comes Shuddvidya, pure knowledge. You've seen the picture of Shiva with his eyes just barely starting to open when Shiva says, I have a feeling that there is something else out there other than me. Maya is the next principle. She is different from me. I am Shiva, and there she is, the Divine Mother, the measurement or limitation of consciousness. Maya is perceived through Panchkanchuka. 5 Kanchukas, limitations or modes of perception. They are Kal, Niyati, Rag, Vidya, and Kala. Time, space, activity, being or becoming. Knowledge of name and form, Nam and Rup, and Kala, the attribute. These Panchkanchuka, these 5 limitations make 10 principles in descending order. And then comes the Purush, the individual soul or consciousness, and Prakriti, the embodiment of nature. Ahamkar is the ego, the sense of I. Chitta, the totality of all cognition, comprised of buddhi and mon. Buddhi means objective knowledge, or what is. In other words, all the nouns and verbs of experience. Mon, on the other hand, is subjective knowledge, or what we think about things. Mon comprises the adjectives and adverbs. Buddhi says, this is a book. Mon says, this is a good book. The good is the interpretation of Mon. Both together are chitta, objective and subjective experience. The world as it is and the world as we think it to be, our relationship to it. These 4 together, ahankar, chitta, buddhi, and man, are called the antakaran, the inner cause or inner sense. Then there are 20 principles which define the gross world and our relationship to it. 5 of these principles are called tanmatras, which are the objects of perception: sight, sound, smell, taste, and feel. 5 are called mahabhutas. They are the essential elements of existence: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And then there are the 5 organs of knowledge: the eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and skin, the Gyanendriyas. And then there are the 5 organs of action, the Karmendriyas, which are the upper appendages, the lower appendages, the tongue, reproductive organs, and anus. These principles disclose how divinity descended into manifested existence. In order to go back to the origin, we must come and go by the same path. We begin by controlling the organs of action because they are the ones that interact with the outside world. We put our body into such a harmony so as to control the organs of knowledge. Close the 9 doors to the city of God. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. The 9 doors to the city of God. And control the karmendriyas, the organs of action, and control the gyanendriyas, the organs of knowledge. And we recognize the 5 elements of existence and their 5 objects of perception in the subtle body: earth, water, fire, air, ether, sight, sound, smell, taste, and feeling. And let your energy climb the chakras and put the 20 principles into the balance of harmony. Now put mon, buddhi, chitta into balance. Control ego, ahamkar. This is the 24th principle. This is the body of Prakriti, the body of nature expressed through the individual, perceived by Purush, which is the 26th principle. This Purush has been perceived in time, space, activity, knowledge, and with attributes. By moving beyond these modes of perception, which constitute 31 principles, we move into Maya. And then we see Siva and Shuddha Vidya, faintly aware that there is another outside. Let him close his eyes. Ishvara is next, then Shakti and Sadashiv, and these are the 36 principles which are the path to absorption in the unmanifest. Ajapantam Nirgunatattvanirupanam. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste. Teacher, Thank you. Let's see if there are any questions tonight. Lots of material.
We have a question from Ambika.
Namaste, Ambika.
Namaste. Is chanting Om Hrim a way to bring the internal God in the manifestation in our life? What would be the benefit of chanting these two sounds, Om and Hrim?
Well, you can chant the two Bij mantras together or individually, or with the mantras that apply to them. So there are several mantras, Om, Aim, Rim, Klim, Chamundari Viche, where both of them are contained in the same mantra. And it will be more efficient for us and more efficacious for us to use the mantras that we've been given in the context in which they've been given to us. So we want scriptural authority. We don't want to just take mantras and make them up on our own unless we really have a command of the language. Now, when we have a command of the language, we have a command of our circumstances, we have a command of our experience, and we know what applies to what circumstance, then we can go ahead and apply mantras taken out of context. For example, we gave a list of Bij mantras of negative qualities that we want to control and positive qualities that we want to replace them with. This is an acceptable practice. However, if you want to do japa in order to reach the highest, you better do something like something that you know, something that has a scriptural context. When we give a mantra, Ambika, it has a history, it has a rishi, it has a chanda, it has a binyoga, it has an application, it has a cultural context. And when we recite the mantra, we can remember the context and the story and the history and the bhavana with which it was used originally. So that will be more efficacious to us, it'll be more beneficial to us to use the mantras that we've already been given, the cultural, historical, hysterical context for the entire usage of the mantra. And don't just try to make up your own right now. Get a little bit of experience under your belt first.
We have a question from Kaushiki.
Namaste, Kaushiki-ma.
I have tinnitus, continuous ringing in the ears. I don't know if I would be able to hear the mantra inside, or is the mantra inside more like a feeling?
Well, the mantra inside is both a feeling and a sound. If you ever heard someone speaking to you in a dream, it sounds the same. Oh, yeah. It does. But you are very, very fortunate. Because that sound of a bell that's ringing in your ears chases all the asuras away. And you don't even have to put forth any effort to ring the bell. The ringing is going on all the time, and you are fortunate. I remember the story of the seven beggars who blessed the two kids that you should be as blind as me and as deaf as me and as mum as me, because you won't have to see the sins of the world, and you won't have to listen to the gossip of the world, and you won't have to speak the nonsense of the world. You can live with God always ringing in your ears. So you consider it a blessing and try to listen to the subtle sound ringing inside your brain, not just in your ears, but inside your brain. There's the entire vibration which is constantly ringing in your brain. It's ring, 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 ring. Ringing in your ears, in your brain, in your soul. It just comes from within. It's like Kaushiki, the sound that comes from within.
We have a question from Nanda.
Namaste, Nandama.
When is it appropriate to perform japa without the use of any counting like fingers, japa mala, counter, etc.? And when is it appropriate to count?
Nanda, when you have a sankalpa, you must count. I'm going to do 100 malas of this mantra. I better count. And I want to count every mantra that I say until I get to 100. When you reach your sankalpa, put down the mala and let the mantra keep going. So many times at the fire we were sitting and making Om. We were making oblations of the mantras until we reached the count. And when we reached the count, we put down the mala and we kept making oblations. And we kept the mantra was going. And it got softer and softer and softer until it was just going inside. And you could hear it inside, and we were all making the same offering at the same time, and it was just going on inside. That's Ajapa. So when you fulfill your sankalpa, you've already counted as many as you promised to count, and you gave a little extra for dakshina, then put down the mala and stop counting and keep reciting the mantra. Let the mantra continue for so long as it continues, and that'll be a lot of fun.
We have a question from Kyle.
Namaste, Kyle Baba.
Pranam. Sometimes I hear something that sounds like a long bell ring that never ends. What is that? Thank you.
Lucky you! I ring the bell very loudly for long periods of time, just so I could hear that continuous tone, that continuous vibration which makes all other thoughts shudder. It makes the Asuras quake in their boots. They can't stand the bell and they can't stand the conch shell because they produce this continuous tone, this continuous vibration which just makes all the thoughts stop. So that's what it is. God is ringing a bell in your ear. Enjoy it.
We have a question from Sadhana Shakti.
Namaste, Sadhana.
If our schedule does not permit us to sit for long periods of time, can we look at Mother's eyes while we're performing our duties and ask her to hold our ego?
Very, very difficult. Sadhana, if you look into Mother's eyes very, very deeply, you're probably going to lose consciousness of where you are and what you're doing. So I do not recommend that you do any intelligent function while you're looking into Mother's eyes. When you're looking into Mother's eyes, stay there. And don't think, I'll look into her eyes and with one hand I'm going to keep counting how many groceries pass over the scanner, or how many customers pass through my aisle, or how many people I have to assist. No. Rather, you save looking into Mother's eyes for when you have the time to spend with Mother. But keep her vibration and keep her love, keep her mantra, keep her jop, keep Om Namah Shivaya with you all day long. Keep Om Eng Ring Kling Chamundaya Viche all day long, all night long, whatever you're doing, when you have the opportunity. And then the rest of the time, remember Ram went to Mithila with Vishwamitra, and he broke Shiva's bow and he won Sita as his bride, and they announced the wedding, and he was to be married to Sita, and Dasarath came with the entire retinue from Ayodhya to Mithila to participate in the wedding ceremony. He said, Ram, you have done such wonderful things. Since you left Ayodhya, you protected Vishwamitra's yagya. You killed the demons, Marich and Subahu. You came and defeated all the kings in Mithila's court. You broke Shiva's bow. You won Sita as your bride. Didn't you miss Ayodhya? And Ram said, Father, I was so busy with the work you gave me to do. How could I think about Ayodhya? I was thinking about the task at hand. I was focusing on performing your work to the best of my ability. How could I think about something else? If I had two thoughts, if I had a bifurcated mind, if one part of my mind said, oh, I gotta be doing this, I would rather be doing that, I'd rather be in the back, I'd rather be in the forest with sadhus and roaming around with a loincloth, rather than sitting in an ashram and making worship at the altar. If your mind is bifurcated, you can't be efficient to either task. Ram said, Father, I'm so sorry. I was so concentrated on the work that you gave me to do that I performed it efficiently. I got the good result. I didn't have time to miss Ayodhya. How could I miss my family? Sure, I love my family, and I love my parents, and I love the citizens of Ayodhya. I love the kingdom. I love everything about it. How could I have time to miss them when I was so concentrated about what I'm doing? You gave me things to learn. You gave me people to serve. You gave me things to do. You gave me projects to complete, and here I was completing them. Why should I be thinking about something else? Dasaraj smiled and bowed down to his son because he realized that was a silly question.
We have a question from Vivekananda.
Namaste, Vivek.
Namaste. In different scriptures, for example, the Ganesh Chaturvashirsam, it is said that reciting the mantra in specific places, like on the bank of a river, gives great effect. I know this is true of the Devi Mandir. Is there a power package of specifics which we can do which can totally maximize the effect of our japa when we cannot go to Devi Mandir?
Absolutely, but don't wait for the specific place. Do it everywhere and practice it every day, no matter where you are. That's the first thing. Empower yourself, Vivek. Empower yourself to create that vibration wherever you go. Shrima does it. She walks into San Francisco, downtown San Francisco. She goes in a hospital and everybody just stands to the side and bows down and greets her. Wherever she walks, wherever she goes, she just has a presence and a glow and a radiating light that people come and say, I love your sari, I love your colors, I love your brightness, I love your energy. They just say that naturally. Just seeing her. They don't even know her, and they know there's something special about it. And I can't put my finger on it, but I know there's something I have to acknowledge. I remember the first day we came to Berkeley, and we got out of a car, and we started walking down the sidewalk, and somebody shouted, "Oh, there's a saint walking down the street." And they immediately rushed up to us and took us out to tea and took us over to a hotel. Very first day. We were surprised. In the same way, Vivek, empower yourself to perform your worship everywhere, wherever you go, and you will be so acclimated and so accustomed and so empowered that you yourself will create the vibration wherever you go, and that's the goal. Now, that being said, there are certain places, like you can feel when you walk into the gates of the Devi Mandir, you can understand that there's something going on here that makes our property a little bit different from all the other estates along our highway. And somebody's estate is raising grapes, and somebody's raising cows, and somebody's raising horses, and we are raising yogis. And the vibrations of our property is different from the vibrations of all the other properties. Somebody's yelling at their oxen and their goat and saying, Om Vishnu. And somebody's saying, whoa, what a privilege to worship Om Vishnu. So Vivek, it's up to you. Certainly there are certain places that are more particular, more efficient at encapsulating the vibration, of maintaining that vibration, where it's easier to feel that vibration, where other people have a similar focus, a similar goal, a similar attentiveness, a similar path, have been performing that kind of sadhana to reach that goal for a longer period of time. And that vibration, that spandana, that feeling, that feeling of vibration is remaining there. It resides there all the time. So in those places, it's much easier to more quickly perceive, oh, I just came into a sacred space. But you're going to make your sacred space yourself, Vivek, everywhere you go. You're Vivek. You're the discrimination which says what can help me make the sacred space and what's going to take me away from the sacred space. And with that understanding, with that intuition, with that criteria for discrimination, you're going to be able to empower a whole community in order to maintain the sacredness of your space.
We have a question from Paul from Mount Shasta.
Namaste, Paul.
Can sankalpas be based on time rather than a number of malas?
Absolutely. Absolutely, and there are many times that we take a sankalpa to make jop for 1 hour every day. There are many times that we take a sankalpa to chant for how many hours every day. And we do it by the clock rather than by the number of recitations. So you can make your sankalpa your way. I will not intercede in your relationship with God. I'm not going to define for you how you should conduct your love affair. What you do in your bedroom is your business. What you do in your temple is your business. I'm only here to give you certain basic building blocks upon which you can erect an edifice which is really going to be a strong sadhana. A strong declaration of your intent to reach your goal. And that's going to be the fulfillment of your sankalpa. I will not tell you how you have to do it. You can use these mantras or those mantras. You can use that book or that book. You can use all of it. You can use some of it. You can use none of it. But you have to do something. You got to do something. And you yourself, Paul, you will decide what you have to do. You can decide it every day upon the criteria of what other things do I have to do today? How much time do I have to spend with God? I've got to be at work at 9 o'clock. I've got to get on the freeway at 8:30. I've got to eat breakfast at 8:15. Okay, you worked your way backwards. I've got to be done with my puja by 8:15. That means I have to get up at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock or 2 o'clock. You will decide how much puja can I do in order to be at work at 9 o'clock. Now, you just defined the limits of your puja. Now, what do I want to include in those limits? That's up to you, Paul. We gave you so many tools, empowering you how to cultivate that love affair with God. Or goddess, as you like. So, now all you got to do is check off the boxes. Which ones do I want to do today? What is the appropriate puja for me to do today? I do that every time someone comes for me to do puja for them. What do you want? What kind of puja do you want? Why do you want to do puja? Who is the object of the puja? What is the purpose of the worship? What is it? What do you want to accomplish? What kind of blessing do you want to get? How long can you sit? How long can you stay? How long can you spend? What ingredients did you bring to the temple? What do you want me to offer? I look at the situation and design a puja. Every time I do a puja. And when I get to do a puja for me and God, then I don't have to design it at all. I just do as much as I can possibly do. And sometimes it goes on for a long time when I'm allowed. And sometimes when I've got other things I have to do, I have to design the puja. Well, today I have 47 and a half minutes because I have to be at work at 9. Tomorrow I might not have to be at work at 9. And then I have as much time as I define. Paul, you will design your puja yourself every sankalpa. And the sankalpa may be for 9 days, it may be for 30 days, it may be for 108 days, it may be for 1,000 days, it may be for the rest of your life. But you'll have to design the puja according to what is necessary. That's pretty obvious. You have other functions. You wear many hats. You have other functions to perform in life, and you have to do them. You have to satisfy everyone on your team in order to keep them on your team. That just said it right there. You have to make everybody on your team in harmony so you have a team spirit, so we can work together and play together, and we work as a team. So what does it take to keep your team focused and together in harmony, working together? It's different every day, because every member of your team is an individual, and they can go out to left field at a moment's notice, and it's your job as the team captain to bring them back in to home plate, to reel them in and say, hey, don't go spinning out of control. Come on and be part of the team. And whatever that negotiation entails, that's what you have to do. So you'll know how much effort you can spend in worship and how much time you have to spend in harmonizing all the different values of the various attitudes of your team. So you will define your relationship with God determined by what is necessary to do to maintain the harmony and the balance in your environment. And that means your team. That means your family. That means your spouse. That means the players on your team. Everybody who's coming to work with you. They all have to work together in a harmony, otherwise it doesn't work.
We have a question from Rosie.
Namaste, Rosie Ma.
In regards to the 36 principles, when meditating, it feels like the first 20 principles of the gross world are an active search, something I can do. But with buddhi, man, and ahamkar, it is more like something I can't really do, but maybe I can allow them to undo. How do we move through the subtler aspects?
Rosie, we move step by step. You control the first 5 karmendriyas, your lower appendages, upper appendages, your tongue, reproductive organ, and anus. You control that by sitting in an asana. You sit still. Hold your gross body still. You control your gyanendriyas. Okay, you don't look around here and there. You don't dance. You don't wave. You don't sing. You just keep focused. You've got the mantra, and you've got the deity. And then you control the perceptions of the gyanendriyas. So you've got sight, sound, smell, taste, and feeling. And then you control the understanding. I move them in. I see that they are all comprised of these 5 constituent elements. That's the first 20 steps in the 36 tattvas. Now, everything that came into my mind, all the adjectives and adverbs, all the descriptions about stuff, I can do away with from my thinking right now. I'm going to filter them out. I don't want to think about my opinion. I like him and I don't like her. And I like this and I don't like that. And I want this and I don't want... I'm going to take all the likes and dislikes out of it. All the goods, the bads, and the uglies out of it. And I'm going to put just what is. Every time I see how beautiful that is, I don't want to say how beautiful it is. I want to say what it is. I'm looking at the sunrise, and it's so beautiful the way the light hits the horizon. I don't want to just look at it and see without all of the qualifications and without all of the adjectives, with all of my feelings about it. Just watch the wash of color as the sky becomes illuminated. And now I'm in buddhi. I see there is color and there is light and the darkness is receding. And now let me take all of that into my chitta, and I can guide my awareness into the presence of I am. You are. And this is our reality. This is our relationship. This is the nature of the nature. And I, ahamkar, I get to perceive nature as the wash of color rising in the morning sun. And then I move beyond space and beyond time and beyond knowledge and beyond naming and nam and rup and names and forms and beyond all the attributes. And I just see what is. I can watch that sunrise without any limitation. That is the body of Maya. That is the embodiment of Mother. That is Mother Nature at her finest in this moment. And I become Shiva. Step by step, Rosie, we're going to guide our awareness step by step, right through the 36 principles into the illumination of consciousness.
We have a question from Srini.
Namaste, Srini Baba.
Does Bhautika Shabda include any speech needed to perform our jobs?
Yes. Vedic Shabda, Srini Baba. Vedic Shabda are the words of wisdom that take us inside. Gyan, Dhyan, Bhakti, Karma. All the words that describe the internal process of going inside. Bhautika Shabda says anything I do outside. I do my work, I do my job, I fulfill my obligations, I act with efficiency, I am a teacher, I am giving knowledge. These are all expressions that go outside. So by controlling the Bhautika Shabda, we are bringing all of our awareness inside to the Vedic Shabda. I can only see the internal processes now. It's like leaving the Annamaya Kosh into the Pranamaya Kosh, into the Manomaya Kosh, into the Vijnanamaya Kosh, into the Anandamaya Kosh. The Bhautika Shabda describes the Annamaya Kosh, the gross body, that which we perceive through the senses, that which we are functioning with as we work with this body, as we work through, use this body as the instrument through which we communicate. So my Bhautika Shabda is saying to you, I am saying to you, that's Bhautika. It's worldly. You're outside of me. When I am saying to me, it's Vedic. So long as there is a you, there must be a me. And if there's a me and a you, there's worldliness. There's duality. We are all the sons of Diti. And when there ceases to be a you, and it's all within me, then we stop all the Bhautika Shabda. And I have nothing to say to you because there is no you. I can say to me, hi me. Om Sam Saraswati Namaha. Namaste.